This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. Supermarket giant Woolworths has been called out for its role in the significant underpayment of Tasmanian cleaning staff. The Fair Work Ombudsman has released results of its inquiry into the sector, revealing some staff were being paid as low as $7 an hour. While Woolworths says it's cleaned up its act, community organisations are worried the problem is still rife in other businesses in Tasmania.
Woolworths stores across Tasmania have been under watch, the Fair Work Ombudsman probing the supermarket giant's use of contract cleaners.
We've been doing that because we had people coming into our Hobart office and our Launceston office, workers presenting with some very concerning stories.
Kicking off in 2014, an inquiry found non-compliant contractors at 90% of Tasmanian Woolworths stores. The problems including training pay rates as low as $7 an hour, normal pay as small as $14, well below entitlements, inaccurate or missing records including pay slips, and cash in hand payments. The Fair Work Ombudsman says it couldn't find evidence Woolworths was an accessory to the breaches, but has put the supermarket giant on notice for failing to ensure compliance in its labour supply chain. Authorities have launched legal action against some of the contractors.
Look, it's appalling. At best it's negligent, and at worst it's deliberately exploiting workers for profit.
A former worker spoke with Southern Cross News on the condition of anonymity. Like many of the workers, he's from overseas.
At that time I was new here in Tasmania, and I didn't had any jobs for 6 months, so I was really desperate to do this kind of job. So I didn't ask any questions.
The Multicultural Council says new arrivals and international students are particularly vulnerable to exploitation, with a perceived threat of deportation hanging over them.
That makes you, just stay quiet and just continue work, because at least they're getting some money. And employers use that.
Woolworths issued a statement saying none of the highlighted suppliers work for the company anymore. They're implementing measures around contracting, including a third-party payroll system, increased auditing and training. Unions say it's a lesson for all businesses.
If you're contracting out a part of your business, then you need to be responsible for the outcomes of that. And they should absolutely be making sure that the work is being done in a way that means the workers are being paid what they should be.
Anyone with concerns can lodge an anonymous report on the Fair Work website.
They have to speak up. If you don't, your body will be hurt, your mind will be, you will be stressed all the time because you're getting less paid and you have to work really hard compared to others.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Community groups are furious tonight following revelations preliminary work on the Mount Wellington cable car was given the green light without their knowledge. The state government is bearing the brunt of the frustration, but the Premier says the issue is a storm in a teacup.
This document forming a dark cloud over the Liberals. There's cable car opponents angry they weren't advised preliminary work was beginning on Mount Wellington.
It's symptomatic of a deeper problem within the Liberal government of secrecy, of avoiding proper process and of pushing ahead the interests of developers ahead of those of the community.
It happened just before the election was called and before the government entered caretaker mode, with the Treasurer giving the Mount Wellington Cable Car Company the green light to undertake work which includes the construction of scaffolding and the transportation of water tanks and drilling rigs into the area. Occurring at the same time, a community consultation meeting on the project was cancelled.
The level of consultation with the Tasmanian community is inadequate, and we're seeing these things barged through without proper process.
What this process is simply doing is allowing for some testing to be undertaken with minimal environmental disruption.
Mr Hodgman saying he didn't know what was taking place at the time, now assuring all formal procedures were followed.
This is the first significant step of this project, and so I think it was important for the government to actually say this is our first step, this is what we're going to be doing.
There is no doubt that the Liberals tried to make this decision and then cover it up so it didn't come out before Tasmanians went to the polls.
The move prompting calls for stronger planning laws.
Through that, you work out what the issues might be, and it also shows respect for Aboriginal heritage or environmental issues or social issues, whatever they may be.
No doubt an unwelcome problem for the government 3 weeks out from crunch time, but the Premier's playing it down.
Talk about a storm in a teacup. This is part of an administrative process that was well laid out in Parliament.
This is a proposal to helicopter drilling rigs onto the top of one of the most iconic, protected and precious places in southern Tasmania. That is an issue of public concern.
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
The state Liberals have pledged to outspend Labor on education if they win next month's election. The Education Minister says 192 new teachers will be employed under a re-elected Hodgman government. But Labor says the party can't be trusted.
Trying to string in the next generation of voters.
But I'd love to play a song for you if you help sing.
The Premier using a preschool to play out his party's latest election pledge.
I genuinely believe that one of the best investments any government can make is in education.
Committing to spend $207 million during another term on upgrading school infrastructure and on new staff.
In the first 4 years, we'll have 192 teachers we expect in our schools.
When compared with Labor's education spend, the Liberals are pledging $11 million more. They say they'll also employ 41 more staff than Labor.
Well, I don't think anyone can believe the Liberals anymore. They're spending so much money in a desperate attempt to win this election. The only reason why they've got money in the bank to spend is because they've done nothing for the last 4 years.
We are concerned, however, that there's no addition to our professional support staff. That's our school psychologists and our speech and language therapists.
The Liberals also promising to build 6 new early learning hubs, provide free preschool to eligible disadvantaged 3-year-olds and extend all high schools to Year 12 by the start of 2022.
Liberals need to explain how you can continue to fund colleges and roll out Year 11 and 12 to every high school in Tasmania.
We will have the numbers to support our college infrastructure and indeed support our high schools.
Labor also today dishing out its aquaculture policy, saying if it wins majority, it'll create an independent panel to regulate the finfish industry.
So that both consumers and the public can have confidence. And we'd also like to see them do a full inquiry into Macquarie Harbour.
Labor's fish farming policy is in effect no different from Liberals. Without the right for the community to appeal to new fish farming projects, there is no change at all.
Monica Dadson at Southern Cross News.
Another possible adult fruit fly has been caught in Tasmania, this time at Georgetown. It's unclear if the insect trapped is the invasive pest, but the Department of Primary Industry says it's investigating and work is ongoing to confirm if it is in fact a fruit fly. The department says there are many other types of flies and insects that have a similar appearance. So far, no restrictions have been implemented at Georgetown. Control zones are still in place on Flinders Island and near Sprayton, where fruit fly larvae has recently been detected. Wild weather has brought down trees and knocked out power to thousands of homes across the state. The SES received dozens of calls for help as powerful wind gusts battered homes and businesses.
It was nearly a Valentine's Day disaster for the Pier's Matt Waller. His fully booked Ulverstone restaurant was among 25,000 properties losing power today.
A couple of irate chefs who couldn't get their morning coffees, so it was a bit full on there for a little while.
Luckily, the lights came back on in time, but the wind barely let up, pounding the coast for hours, damaging power lines and cutting off streets. Debris blocked part of the Midland Highway near Launceston Airport. While it was lights out at the country club, an international berry conference plunged into darkness. The cold front brought wind gusts of more than 100 kilometres per hour to locations across the state, triggering dozens of call-outs for local councils and the SES.
Because of the strong winds we've had a lot of trees that have come down, and then followed by that would be roof damage.
Workers ducked for cover as the cold front moved south, the big wet creating hazardous conditions.
There's going to be quite a few rural areas, spurs, private infrastructure, where people may still have power off overnight.
The Weather Bureau predicts more windy weather tomorrow before easing on Friday. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
We have developing news now. There are major traffic issues right across Hobart tonight with 2 crashes in the inclement weather. A 3-car crash on the corner of Davey and Anthill Streets caused congestion on connecting roads, while a single vehicle crash just off the Proctors Road turnoff on the southern outlet blocked the southbound lane for over an hour. Much of Hobart's traffic is still at a standstill, but no injuries have been reported. Across the country, it's estimated we spent over $1 billion this Valentine's Day. But for many Tasmanians, love is far more simple and less expensive. While many flocked to flowers, others shared their love stories with a simple rose and a kiss.
A love still going strong after 66 years. Brian and Betty first laid eyes on each other at a dance and have been madly in love ever since.
A long time, but it's been a wonderful marriage, really. As I say, I don't think we've had any arguments to any extent, at any rate.
And they say true love never dies.
It certainly doesn't, definitely not. We're one another.
Sadly, others raise a glass to reminisce. For Audrey Hughes, Valentine's Day brings up raw emotions.
Very upsetting. I had married to the most wonderful man, and he died 6 years ago. And I'm in here, they're looking after me in his place.
Today, Sandhill Nursing Home residents helping Audrey relive her wedding day, wearing her dress 68 years later.
Yes, it takes it all back again. I was 23 when I was married, and that's just showing my mother made the dress.
I think it makes them feel good, but as it can make them sad as well for all their memories, but it's really good that they can express that.
And a message to the younger generation in love.
They don't even know what it's all about. No idea what it's all about at all.
Meanwhile, florists across the state enjoyed the boost in sales, many putting on extra staff to keep up with the demand.
Oh, absolutely hectic. Always is at this time of the year. We get the older ones, the younger ones. Love has no boundaries.
We've been really, really busy today since 6 o'clock this morning. We were here late last night working, getting orders ready, and the flowers have been moving out very, very quickly.
Rita Risk, Southern Cross News.
We have more for you now on our developing news story. Major traffic issues are being reported right across Hobart. These are live pictures of Campbell Street showing a massive bank up of traffic, very unusual for this time of night. These scenes are playing out right across the city, down the Brooker Highway and across the Tasman Bridge. The major snarl is believed to have been triggered by a crash on Davey Street and the southern outlet. A new anti-pokies movement is set to go head-to-head with the hotel lobby's Love Your Local campaign. Advocacy group Bad Bets will use a sculpture dubbed the Pokies Parasite as part of a large-scale advertising campaign. Bad Bets says the push is being partially funded by Mona owner David Walsh, although it did not reveal exactly how much money is being tipped in.
We do have ground to make up, because the nonsense that's been advertised by the Pokies barons has taken effect.
This policy is so unnecessary and so misguided because it won't solve problem gambling as Labor are claiming it will.
Love Your Local has responded to the new campaign by asking David Walsh to disclose his involvement. Now a look at the day's business and finance news with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund. The Australian share market has lost ground as investors exercised caution ahead of the release of important US inflation data. The ASX 200 index fell 14.7 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 78.75 US cents and 107.73 New Zealand cents.
Australia's longest continually operating race car circuit is getting ready to notch up a milestone, with the Baskerville Raceway set to turn 60. And to celebrate, some of the country's best drivers will battle it out on the iconic track. Ben Creed has been driving out here since he was 12 years old, and next week he and his team's 5-year passion project will get its first taste of the rejuvenated track.
We started with a road-going silver Falcon XR6 road car, automatic, done about 40,000 kilometres, and we've turned into what it is there behind us. It's got about 700 horsepower, so hopefully it should do the trick. The Falcon V8 will be among dozens of speed machines battling it out when round 1 of the Aussie Racing Cars National Championship Series comes back to Baskerville.
Lots of variety for the spectators, and we know that Aussie Racing Cars will put on a fantastic show. They were last here in 2006 and the racing was incredible, and we expect the same this year.
The National Championship level event will be the first of its kind held at the track since last year's $1 million refurbishment was completed. And to cap it off, Baskerville will celebrate 60 years of racing.
There are no lock garages here. People are very welcome to come and talk to the drivers, sit in the cars, and that's what sets Baskerville apart from many other tracks in the country.
The 2 days of racing begin on February 24. They've only been at it for a couple of years, but 2 young Tasmanian gridiron players are already reaching impressive heights in the sport. We caught up with Night stars Enzo Balducci and Sam Kenner after the pair recently earned selection into the national under-19 side. At just 16 years old, offensive lineman Sam Kenner is already a formidable figure on the field, catching the attention of national scouts at a recent selection camp in Queensland.
I was pretty stunned when I got selected, being technically under my first season in the sport and being only 16 and being selected to represent my country.
Following a breakout rookie season with the Knights, Kenner is now preparing to tackle the Under-19 World Championships, along with teammate and linebacker Enzo Balducci, who also did enough to earn a call-up into the Aussie squad.
Oh, it's incredible to share it with Kenner. I'm so proud of him, and I'm so proud that he's got this far with me, and I couldn't be happier with it.
The pair say they'll have to up their game to match it with the world's best up-and-comers, but are relishing in the opportunity.
Obviously, fitness is a key for everyone, and just getting my technique down packed for my position.
Just want to know what it feels like to play at that level, and play a sport at that level would be great.
While their coach is more than confident the two can make an impact on the world stage.
No doubt whatsoever. Naturally the best 2 players for their 2 different positions I've ever seen.
The championships take place in Mexico in July.
Good evening. Hobart and Devonport 19 degrees today. Launceston reached 20 and Burnie a high of 17. 25 was the top around the state at Friendly Beaches. Flinders Island 24, Campania 20, Grove 19, Lowhead, Wynyard, Bushy Park, Strawn and King Island all 17. And plenty of wind as a few tree branches came down, hairstyles reworked and a severe blow to politicians' Vote For Me posters. Quite a few of them hitting the ground today. Big clean up tomorrow. Speckled low cloud lies over our region. Low level cloud is spiralling into a tropical low near Darwin. Also a few bright thunderstorm clouds are over the interior. And on our close-up, the open cellular cloud sits over Tasmania in that cool westerly airstream, bright thunderstorm cloud off the east coast with the front. Tomorrow, a cold front charges towards us again from the southwest. A high-pressure ridge runs through southern Australia. A trough extends from southwest WA up the coast to a low over the Kimberley and another through Queensland. Westerlies tomorrow again at 25 to 30 knots, reaching 35 knots over the south and to 25 knots inland. Swells up to 5 metres. Gale warning is on for waters between Tasman Island and Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. Blowy tomorrow and a possible shower for Hobart, 20 the top, 19 for Cygnet, 20 for New Norfolk with a shower or 2. Similar forecast for Launceston, an afternoon shower maybe, and 23 degrees, 21 for Devonport, becoming windy and partly cloudy for Campbelltown and 22. Burnie a shower or 2 and 21 degrees. Winds easing over the west, Strawn 18 tomorrow and 21 for Smithton. And for St Helens partly cloudy, 23 along with Fingal, Swansea 22 degrees. UV a very high 9. On Friday showers over the west and possibly south as the westerlies continue. On Saturday fine apart from a shower over the west and northwest extending to the Bass Strait Islands, and showers extending statewide on Sunday. Let's hope it's fine for the Kempton Festival and the Tasmanian Sheep Racing Championship, just part of a really big day. Further north and sunny and 37 in Perth, partly cloudy in Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney. A storm likely for Brisbane, Darwin and Alice Springs. Few showers over Hobart just to add to the mix, and 12 degrees at the moment. 15 are mostly clear in Launceston, partly cloudy over Devonport, and 16 degrees. And that's the way things are shaping up, Jo.
OK, thanks so much for that, Murph. Well, before we leave you tonight, a snake's journey really came down to the wire when it chose to make its way along a thin fence instead of the ground. It displayed impressive balance, slithering along without falling. Not even a steel post could stop progress, the reptile simply going over it and continuing on its way. Oof. Makes me feel uncomfortable. That's all from the news team for now. We'll see you throughout the evening. Bye-bye.